call this meeting to order. We have a quorum of the Master Plan Working Group present. For your information, Roshan has resigned. It's on the agenda as an action item to sort of recognize it officially, but with his resignation, we are left with just 11 members, for which 6 is a quorum. And we have 1, 2, 3. All right, so I will, and also for your information, Fiona said that she was expecting to be running a little late. I will proceed to roll call the membership. Bob Carroll, Victoria Duckworth,
Aye.
Lindsay Fox, Anne Marie Foley, Deborah George, Brian Houle,
Here.
Chantel Kimball,
Here.
Essex Petrie, David Robbins is present, Sue Robbins,
Here.
and Colleen Roy.
I see her.
I see.
Can you not
Colleen.
hear? Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you now.
Oh,
now.
I said here. Oh, okay. Here.
Great. So we can proceed. The first action item on our agenda is to approve the minutes of the April 7th meeting, which were distributed for review prior to last week's meeting, but without a quorum, we couldn't vote on it. So
So moved.
Second.
moved and seconded that the minutes of April 7th be approved as drafted. Any discussion of the motion? Hearing none. Victoria. Calling for a vote, Victoria? Brian?
Yes.
Chantal?
Yes.
Dave votes yes. Sue?
Aye.
And Colleen?
She said I read her lips.
You really can't. How about, all right. So I think my device is not working so good today. I apologize.
Right, maybe we can take hand signals. It's all being recorded on video, right?
Yep.
All right. And Victoria, we're voting on the approval of the meeting minutes. I saw you dropped off momentarily.
I'm gonna be kind of in and out. I'm just going up Pleasant right now, and there's some dead spots, but I'll be pretty good here in like 2 minutes. I'm sorry. Will you repeat what you just said?
Just need a vote on the April 7th meeting minutes.
Yeah.
Great. Clear that motion carried unanimously. Our second action item is to note Roshan Otangi submitted his resignation. So effective on receipt of his resignation, he's no longer a member of committee, but listed on the agenda as an action item for us to acknowledge receipt of the resignation. And if anybody would care to make a motion to acknowledge the receipt and
So moved.
and maybe even send him a letter of thanks for his participation to the extent that he was able to participate.
So move with that amendment.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, so let me call for a vote on that. Victoria?
Aye.
Brian?
Aye.
Chantel?
Aye.
Dave votes aye. Sue?
Aye.
And Colleen?
Hi.
Excellent. Next item on our agenda as an action item is to vote to approve the draft master plan and open the public comment period. I kind of want to, that sort of combines with the first discussion item on the final draft plan. So is from my perspective and for the committee's benefit, we had a number of, as of last week's meeting, there were a number of comments that had not yet been resolved in the draft that was available to us. Sarah and company produced an updated draft by they shared that with us on Friday. There were a couple of items left outstanding or open on that needed to be resolved. Those have been resolved, at least to my satisfaction. So I think we're at a point where I certainly have no objections to open the draft up for public review and comment, but other thoughts. Sarah, can you, maybe, give us your perspective on what the status of that is?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I want to note just a admin thing first. Fiona sent you a SharePoint link this afternoon. That is because Dropbox was being a little funky for both of us. So if you're able to get on Dropbox, it is the same information as the SharePoint. The SharePoint is just a temporary folder for tonight, and then that link will expire in a few days, so you can still count on our usual link. But that was like an emergency if you have to open the chapters right now. They're available on both. But yes, we were able to resolve most of the comments since our last meeting. If you don't want to look through the full plan, everything is updated in the comment Excel of what was changed, what wasn't changed, or how things were changed, with the page numbers for reference. The one thing that we have outstanding that this committee has wanted to see is the numbers on the South Grafton Water District. So Fiona and I have been in talks about how to get the annual number of gallons used and permitted number of gallons for some sort of sense of capacity, but that is not yet in the plan. So I wanted to be transparent about that. Everything else has been resolved in our Excel sheet.
Yep, and then for my, I'm comfortable with that for the time being. We'd like to get that data, but I don't think the lack of that specific bit of data should hold us up any further on getting public comment on the plan as a whole.
Yeah, I submitted a public records request to Mass DEP and they said they should have it by the end of the week. So they still got some time, but hopefully they'll get that over.
At this point, we're looking at a month or so for a public comment period. And that should give us ample time to, obtain that data and figure out how best to incorporate that into the document. But with that one lack noted and noting that there is work to do on it, is there anything else that anybody thinks we need to do before putting the plan out for public comment? If not,
No, I think we're ready. Just a thought on that. Would it be possible to like add a one pager, noting an amendment that information has been added to the area or on the website or wherever where we put the review, just so that it's obvious that there is that one amendment when it's ready?
Do you mean like a disclaimer on the website, or if we're updating the draft, like noting that to the public?
Yeah, noting it to the public, just because we're going to be voting on putting it up for public review as it is now. And if we change anything at that point, then it's technically not what we voted on. But
Right.
if there's a public amendment along with it when it's added, I think that would cover it, right?
yep. I was thinking that basically the draft as it exists today is what we put out for public view, but Victoria's note, the idea is that for the public's information, we note that there's basically one point that remains to be incorporated into the plan, but everything else, I'm not quite sure I know how to best to put it, but I think the other thing I was starting to say, and my mind got lost, is that we're not really expecting any further updates to the plan until the conclusion of the public comment period, where we expect to get some public comments, and we expect to revise the plan in response to those public comments, as well as this essentially one data item that we are still waiting to retrieve, not best word necessarily, but acquire. But I think, at this point, I'm not assuming that we are going to be making any updates to the document until such time as the public comments are all in. Would that be a fair assumption?
Yes.
That was my assumption as well, yeah.
Great. All right, so sounds like we're in a position to for someone to offer up a motion to approve the draft for public review and comment.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Victoria,
Aye.
Brian,
Aye.
Intel,
Aye.
Dave votes aye. Sue,
Aye.
Colleen?
Aye.
Excellent. All right, motion carried unanimously. We are now ready to launch into our public review and comment period, which is kind of the next item on the agenda.
So,
So
I'm sorry, Sarah, go ahead.
So the best way to do this might be to confirm our next meeting date, because what we can do is have the public comment period end if it's on a Monday, the Friday before, or if it's on a Wednesday, the Tuesday before. I'm Colleen.
We thought the last meeting we talked, the public comment was gonna be May 15th to June 12th, and our next meeting was gonna be June 16th. Do we have to make a motion for that? No?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Cool. That still works for the committee. That's perfect. So that will be a 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks exactly. We will plan to open it tomorrow, so I will have the same graftonmasterplan.com URL with the homepage, and I will send that to Fiona as well as a post for Facebook. And that will lead you to all of the chapter drafts separately, because I think that's easier to
Mhm.
review, and the comment form, which will be like a form that people submit, and they can submit as many as they'd like. And on the back end, we will put them maybe in a new tab of the comment sheet, public comment tab, just so you could start at row number 1 again. And for the little ones, we are going to try to get ahead of them throughout the month, so that don't need to go by committee, like typos. And then for bigger recommended changes, we will do what CMRPC thinks should change in the text, but run those by the committee first. So that will be at that June 16th meeting. And then we would have another week to make those final changes to the document, but that would need a vote to approve with recommended changes at that point.
Okay. Sue,
I was just wondering, when do we anticipate this document going before the planning board?
Fiona and I spoke about June 23rd.
June 23rd? I think that's as many of our members possible should probably attend that meeting to show force, I guess, but to show commitment to the master plan.
would not hurt.
Yeah, that's a
I-
good idea, Sue. I can post an agenda, or I can post it's a meeting of the master plan working group to cover that base.
Okay, Chantel?
I was just curious, like what format is being used for people to be able to access it. So for example, I know like Dropbox was being funky tonight. I tried to click the SharePoint that Fiona sent out just because I like to have it in front of me while we're meeting. And I couldn't get into that. I can't get into either right now. It's forcing me to create a log on, and I don't want the public to run into something like that when they try to look at it and give feedback.
The SharePoint didn't work. I'm sorry. Yeah, great question. The way it'll be hosted on the CMRPC website, it'll just be under the graftonmasterplan.com. So the way we do that is not through Dropbox. It'll be through just a direct open to PDF. So it'll probably open the chapter in a new tab just on.
So
Yep.
it'll just be a straight PDF and easy for people to. Excellent. Thank
I
you.
hope if you can
Yep.
test it, that'd be great.
I would be happy to do
I'm
that.
always nervous about that stuff.
Okay. So just to make sure, I think I'm all clear on it. Basically, we'll put it up tomorrow for public review with the ability to collect comments. Keep the comment period open till whatever that
June 12th.
June, June. June 12th. Yeah, so 4 weeks of public comment through June 12th. We'll meet again on June 16th to review the substantive comments and discuss any changes. I'm quite all right with taking non-substantive comments and just as they come in, update it, getting the updates that can reasonably be done prior to the end. Just, and anything that Sarah, you and company are not sure is really trivial. Anything that possibly needs the committee's input, we'll collect those together for the committee to discuss at their June meeting.
Perfect.
Sue.
This is probably stated, but just how are we going to communicate to the public that they can make comment and the link they can go to?
Yeah, great question. On our end, we'll have a webpage that will be graftonmasterplan.com and a notice that can be reposted onto the Facebook pages. But I think that's also a lot of word of mouth from all of you and whatever methods work best for Grafton. But what we'll give you is the webpage with the URL and the Facebook to disperse.
Would it be useful to have some flyers printed up with like a QR code and the web address on them for posting up in a few places around where people maybe not everybody's on Facebook, so we've acknowledged this before and recognized this before that there's no one means of getting the publicity out that reaches everybody we might want to reach. So we'll use whatever means we can come up with to make the public aware of this opportunity. So your hand up is again.
Again, I was just wondering if the cable station still does announcements, or we can make something on the cable station, because I know a lot of people plug into that.
Yeah, definitely.
One back. Colleen.
Just more to your point about also like social media and engaging in people with different ways. I know we don't have to, but would hosting a public hearing at like the library or something where people can just drop in and maybe handwrite any comments or share any comments that way, is that worth it, or is that a heavy lift?
I can do that. I don't have a problem with it. We've like a state, maybe like a Q&A, like station one evening, where I can just hang out and answer any questions and have paper copies available and whatnot. Yeah, that works.
Hang out with you. You don't have to be alone. I'm sure people come join you.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind either.
We could do that. Would it make any sense to have a flyer printed up that would be, I'm not quite sure if this would make sense. We got a town election coming up next week, Tuesday for those people who go into the polling place to vote, I don't even know if it would be permissible to distribute something like this when people come to vote.
That's a good idea.
I'd hesitate to distribute just because I kind of want to like be kind to the trees, but if it were posted and people could grab a QR code, that might be
Yep,
good.
that might work.
Who do I connect? Who should I connect with about that? Who kind of runs the?
That would be town clerk.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if it was like yeah, okay, got it.
Any other thoughts along these lines? The more we can publicize this, the better.
Well, I'm gonna do this is electronic, but we have our page, our web page as well on the planning department web page. Then we do the news flash as well. So those are just two other means that
Yeah,
Warren
and
mentioned.
right. The news flash on the front page, the home page of the town website.
Mhm.
Brian?
Yeah, the old fashioned newspaper, community news. I don't know if it's only a couple of times a month that they do Grafton. So, maybe we missed the date, but might be worth checking.
Mhm.
For what it's worth, something in the Grafton News, which is presumably that's a weekly, and there aren't all that many people that get the Grafton News, but for those who do, yeah, having an item in the Grafton News, running for however many weeks it would make sense, and just figure out the schedule. But if we can run an item in the Grafton News, that people who do read the Grafton News can see it and be a possibility. Colleen and Bob.
The select board in their select board announcements, and maybe even ask if they could include like the link on the actual agenda, so people who might not see the meeting but are checking agendas, it's getting them both ways.
Yep.
Do that.
Bob, I think I saw you raising your hand a moment ago.
Yeah, that was my idea.
Okay.
I
Good.
forgot to mention the most important thing we're gonna do on our side. We have the email list of everyone that filled out the survey and came to the workshop, and they will get
Yes.
a more personalized, thank you for contributing to this plan. We want to make sure we got your input correctly.
That's
Yes,
a great
excellent.
idea.
For everybody for whom we have a record of them having expressed an interest in this.
That's a great idea. I'm glad you're doing that.
Yeah, because we've had a form up on the website. Let us know if you want to be involved in the plan. So it'll be all those people. I think it's a good amount, a few hundred.
Yep. It's the way things work these days. You have to get the word out in as many different ways as you can think of. All right, so we're all set on the publicity and the public comment period and the follow-up from that. Oh,
Yep.
what else do we need to do tonight?
I
Are
think
we
it's
finally reaching the end of this whole process?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that everybody was clear and okay with the timeline, which we kind of already discussed. So that was kind of the remainder of the meeting, and just kind of finalizing that timeline. But we have a good, we know when the public comment period is, we know when the planning board approval is slated for. We have our June meeting set, and then yeah, I think we're in a good spot.
Yeah, Bob.
Yeah, it just, maybe, I'm pretty sure no one said it, and this is not really practical, I don't think, but I wonder what it would cost to paper mail a notice to everybody in town. Like, I just got a mail that told me about what happened with the George Hill Road permit, because I'm part of that, I'm a resident, but, I imagine it's way too expensive and probably would take too long.
It
Fiona
is
agrees
finance
with me,
committee.
but that does, if it's an official town communication.
Finance committee had looked into that several times, and it is very expensive to get to every household.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, we did flyers for the common traffic study, and that was just within a 500-foot radius, and that was a lot, and we took that out of our kind of regular line item budget, so we don't have the the funds, unfortunately.
Yeah, okay,
But mailers are the most effective means of communication, so I know, I get what you're saying. It's
Yeah.
just, yeah, it's tough.
Yep, and I'll mention this, but I'm not entirely sure that it would be considered a really appropriate use, but we've got the Code Red notification system, which most recently I saw used for letting everybody know that town meeting was coming up. So I do not know whether the master plan review and comment is the type of thing that we want to use that notification system for. Possibly touch base with Evan and see what he thinks.
Yeah, I'll ask him.
I
yeah,
mean,
because the thing is, when the time comes to get votes on it, like if we go to town meeting for a vote, there's gonna be everybody saying, where did this come from? And why didn't I know about it? So you're covering on as many bases as you can.
There's always going
will
to be that.
helpful.
Again, there's always going to be that. Somebody's going to say, I didn't know anything about this. That's
Yeah,
a,
no. I'm sure that some people will say that, but it's a question of, is it a lot of people who feel that way? Doing everything we can. Doing more than we did 25 years ago.
Yeah.
25 years. Oh, but we had the Grafton News that everybody read.
yep. Yep, things have changed in 25 years, for better or for worse. Anyway, so, and if after this meeting, anybody comes up with any additional ideas for how to publicize this, get in touch with Fiona. Fiona can coordinate that. Fiona needs more work to do. She's just sitting there twiddling her thumbs all the time.
poor Fiona.
It's always easy to say, well, Fiona can do that, but she is our local point of contact for this work.
Yes, please send me ideas. I'm happy to do it. It's an important project, so.
Yeah. I mean, just sort of, thinking in general, and actually this ties into one of our master plan action items, is ways to more effectively communicate from the town to the public.
We're already started on implementation.
Okay. At this point, is there anything else that we need to discuss or decide this evening? If not, our next meeting is it keeps leaving my mind. It's June
16th.
June 16th.
At
Yeah.
what time?
I would assume 7 o'clock would be we did 6 o'clock tonight because some people had other things scheduled after 7. But yeah, 7 o'clock on June
60.
16th. Why, my brain is usually very good at remembering useless numbers, but useful numbers, maybe not so much. Okay. With that, I suppose a motion to adjourn might be in order.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded that this meeting be adjourned. Take a roll call vote. Victoria?
Aye.
Brian?
I have a question. Were we supposed to take a vote on moving forward the date, the actual plan itself? Was there a motion that we were supposed to make before
We voted to move the plan forward into public review and comment.
okay. I guess I was here when that happened.
You voted yes on it.
Okay. Then aye.
We don't officially vote on the master plan till all the comments are in, correct? And we've made all the changes, and that's when we make an official vote.
Yeah, right now we voted to say it's good enough for the public to review and comment on it.
Good. Thank you.
Okay. So continuing the vote on the motion to adjourn, Chantel,
Aye.
Dave votes aye. Sue,
Aye.
And Colleen.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously. We are adjourned.